All right, people, you gotta pay attention to this. Um, really pay attention to this. This is Nat Geo, and I believe this is on RFB's channel tonight. I think they talked about this. I know I heard somebody talking about this today. However, I remember a news story from a few days ago, and remember I've been doing a test of the light levels at 3 o'clock, 3:30 every day for a week or two now. And the reason I said I was starting to do those tests was to get a baseline of how much light is getting down from the sun to Earth, or whatever you want to call this place, and to the ground level, let's say that. So the sunlight from the sky down, I feel, because I've done photography and I'm pretty observant, I feel that it's getting dimmer, is what I'm trying to say. Less light is getting to the ground. Well, why do I think that? Well, the Harvard University, we all know that study now. Or if you don't, you should look it up. I'll try to put a link in here later. I do it all the time. The links are easy to get to. Just type Harvard University Solar Shield. That's all you got to type. This way you can start to see this information for yourself. David Keith said in 2017, the spring, we are going to dim the sun by blocking it. And then they have a video you can click on. And it shows you how they're going to do it with spraying the sky, with geoengineering, with chemtrails. So this chemtrail is not even an argument anymore. Anybody who's telling you they're not doing it, send them to Harvard's own site. Send them to the Google of, try this one. You might have heard of him. Bill Gates. Some people have heard of this man. He's got a few dollars. He also now is in the global spraying the sky industry, business, whatever it is now. So besides military, now there's private people doing it too. So there's something they're doing up there and they're making a lot of money or they wouldn't be doing it. Now, with that in mind, I can't prove that this is linked to this, but nobody's talking about that angle that it could be, and it very well could be, because I've noticed at night, and I've done videos on this, that at night I only see 2-3 stars on some nights. Other nights I do see them. So this is an intermittent problem. This summer, I had pointed out to people, when we go for walks around here, that there was only a handful of stars in our sky here. And I live out 60 miles right now west of Chicago. Not a lot of light and pollution out here. Down to the story. This is a National Geographic story, mainstream news, so you should trust it, right? Because you guys do. That's what we were trained. I'm not saying you guys that listen to me, anybody who's seeing this that's new. This is why I have to say it's a mainstream article that will get your attention, that will then let you know to automatically know that this is all 100% fact. And if you don't sense the sarcasm, you don't know my channel yet. All right, a giant star. This is Nat Geo. A giant star that we all are familiar with. It's that bright red one in the sky next to the belt. A giant star is acting strange, and astronomers are buzzing. The red giant Betelgeuse is the dimmest seen in years, prompting some speculation that the star is about to explode. No, it's not. That's all bullshit. But you could believe that. That's cool, because they want you to be scared. So if you want to be scared and under control, mind control, then believe that. Now, it also could be that our sky has such a thick layer now of hairspray, let's say. Let's just say you were spraying hairspray for the last 20 years in the sky. It may create a layer where you see these weird rainbows and all kinds of light anomalies off the oils in the can of spray. You see what I'm saying? So let's just pretend all the hairspray up there is dimming the sky. Would these stars start to look dimmer? Yes. Are they exploding? Hell no, they're not. Because that would mean you're a tiny little molecule of nothing and nothing space and nothingness and all this nothing. Or you could believe that. That's cool too. That's a great fantasy to believe in, that you're just nothing. Okay, the constellation Orion is one of the most recognizable patterns in the night sky, visible around the world. But if you looked at Orion recently, they mean since October, people, not recent like last 1,000 years, last 100 years. They're talking since October. This has happened. I started doing the video of the light in my house. I had to turn the lights on at 2 o'clock in the afternoon every day. I still do. On the days that it's partly soupy milk, let's say, skies. Milk toast skies, not clouds. There's no, today we had clouds and you see my video. So I noticed in the last 2 months, I've had to turn lights on early in the daytime. Now we can't see certain stars, and it gets worse. I'm going to show you another article. It says, but if you looked at Orion recently and thought something seemed off, you're not wrong. The giant red star Betelgeuse, which marks the hunter's right shoulder, is the dimmest. I'm going to show you this. It's been in almost a century. Normally, Betelgeuse is among the 10 brightest stars in your sky. I'm telling you, I couldn't even count 10 stars half the summer. However, the red giant began dimming in October. By mid-December, which was 2 weeks ago, the star had faded so much it wasn't even in the top 20 stars anymore. Seen at night, what they're just talking about. Villanova University's Edward, whoever, he's a scientist, so whatever religion he's in. Now the outline of Orion, and this is a religion because if you think there's stars blowing up in a 2-month period, when it takes billions of years, according to them and their own math, things to die out. First of all, the odds of you seeing a star blow up and die, if that story was all real, is zero. Okay, so get that out of your head, please. All right, quote, now this is why it's a religion. They just believe this shit because they're told it, and then there's some math they made up that'll verify the size of a star at such a distance, blah, blah, blah. You can believe that. That's cool. Just like you get mad when someone believes in Jesus. Hey, you know what? You got to really get your shit together. Now the outline of Orion is noticeably different since October. Worse in December. Do you understand this? The last 2 weeks, the sky is dimmed worldwide. And if it's not from the chemtrails, then it's got to be from God. One or the other. And if you go God's route, then you got to start asking about signs in the sky and all that stuff that's written about it. I'm no Bible expert by far, but I know that's in there. So we're narrowing down to only a couple options what could be causing this. Right now, I'm going to go with chemtrails. He says, see how many constellations you can identify with a... Okay, I don't want to do that. Okay, to be clear, dimming alone isn't all that odd for a star like Betelgeuse. It's when known as a variable star. It's what's known as a variable star, and it shifts in brightness. Its shifts in brightness have been closely studied for decades. I don't know why I can't read it. It's too early in the morning. However, it is unusual for one of the sky's most prominent points of light to fade so noticeably in 2 weeks, people. 2 weeks, it just disappeared, right? And if you look on YouTube right now, there's small channels like mine and smaller that have picked up their cameras and started saying, there's something weird with this sky. And they don't even say anything about chemtrails. All they're doing is daily posting their sky. I'm so glad this channel is doing this now, because now we're going to have thousands of people, because I'm sure there's thousands that I don't even see on here, that are just, hey, here's what my sky looked like today. That's all you need to do. Point it up, do a 2-minute clip, and just post it. Today's skies, today's date. That's it. Because down the road, people are going to be looking back through these old files and seeing when were these changes happening, and did anybody notice it? And if they did, let's hope they recorded it, which is you, me, and these other people that are posting this stuff. You don't have to be conspiracy and this and that. All you got to do is say, I am just observing, which is all I do. My channel does not tell you the answers to these problems. I say what I see, and then I record what I see most of the time. Sometimes you can't get the camera out fast enough, but for the most part, I'm just recording history. And now I'm reading news history. And I don't like reading news because I know people hate that stuff usually, but I read these kind of stories because it ties into my little channel. I'm looking up. Most people don't. That's cool. You don't have to. But when science now is telling you the sky stars are disappearing, right? And here, you can finish reading that article. It's on Nat Geo today. Hang on. 100 stars. This is going back about a week. Watch this. This is why this has got my attention. Week ago, about 10 days ago, let's see here. They just updated it today, though. Hang on. At least 100 stars, but this started a week ago. This is why I linked this story together. I had it pulled up, but because of the screen capture I'm using, it won't let me switch the I already had the screen open. So this isn't the exact story, but let's see what it says. At least 100 stars may have disappeared from our night sky. The latest discoveries emerged from the project called, quote, Vanishing and Appearing Sources During a Century of Observation, VASCO. I always like their cute little initials for things, all right? An initial paper, these are the highlights. An initial paper on VASCO project has been released. Researchers have found that stars disappeared without any explosion. No explosion. See that? Because that's all bullshit. See, when the lies surface, they can tell you that they're going to explode until they disappear, right? And then they disappear right in front of you and it didn't explode. And then they don't tell you, oh, wait, we told you all to be scared. It's going to explode. These stars are going to explode and then the energy is going to hit Earth and then everybody's going to get hurt. And it's all bullshit. It's all fear porn. Their job, number one, to brainwash us is to scare the living shit out of you. How do they do that? When we were kids, my age group, 50-year-olds, and so we used to have to do the training for tornado drills. You hide under your locker in the hallways in school. Then you had the Soviets were attacking, so we had to get under our desks in case they dropped some big thing on you that was going to help you somehow. And you'd have to sit under there till you got the all clear. And then we did the tornado drills where you had to open the windows, go out to the hallway, get on your knees, by the way, and kneel against your school locker. Does anybody look back now and say, oh my God, this was all bullshit? You're training for a disaster that if it did happen, you're most likely going to get killed anyways. So why scare the kids? Why are you doing this? And I'm not even going to talk about how they do today's program to scare these school kids, okay? But another incident that is big, scary, like a tornado that really, the odds are almost zero it's going to hurt you. So let's just leave that at that. How do they scare our kids? Which then leads into your adulthood, because those fears stay with you for the rest of your life. And every adult I talk to remembers dropping to their knees in the school aisles and leaning up against your locker like you're praying. Okay? And there was a joke, oh, bend down and kiss your ass goodbye, or whatever the phrase was. Where did that phrase come from? Because that came from our generation. That's how they scared us. There's a new way they're scaring kids. They're also scaring the cops that are supposed to be protecting the kids too. So they're scaring two groups of people simultaneously in both chicken shit now. I mean, the worst I've ever seen. So, I just saw the stats today for officers shot in the line of duty or killed in the line of duty. And I think it was in single digits. So if that is true, I got to verify that. I will be doing a story on that, because when the job was 1990s, let's say, for example, and a certain person was an officer of the law back then when it was community policing, let's just say, I could imagine the numbers back then were 500 plus a year was the average for officers down permanently. And we weren't chicken shits back then, and we respected the public respected us. This is prior to 9/11, prior to all that bullshit, crackdown, and when all the shit that happened after that. But before that, life was different here. So there are sites that keep saying that all cops are bad. They're not all bad. But the point is, it's changing. the way they play their game is changing. That's why it appears bad, because it's no longer you see cops on bicycles and talking to the neighbors and all that stuff. So that's digressing. Back to the sky. Because just like the sky is changing, so is that world too. And you need to know this. Because it's not about hating people. That's just ridiculous. It's about, let's fix these problems. That's all. And if the problem is we can't see stars, don't be scared that the stars are exploding. Like the last article we just read, Betelgeuse may be getting ready to blow. Well, here, 100 disappeared and they didn't blow. I think they're missing because they were dimmer, and the layer between us and our rooftop here, whatever the sky is blocking enough light. Here's my question. If you spray all day, Harvard, Solar Shield, this is not made up. I'm not making it up. These are real programs, current lifetime programs, not including Bill Gates' same program. And there's hundreds of companies you could look up that are in this business, okay? It's an industry. It wouldn't be an industry if it was fake, people. So when people are messing with my viewers, for example, and other channels of like mine and their viewers, and people and your friends tell you you're an idiot or whatever, you don't have to show them the documents because they won't look at it anyways. Just know that you're not wrong. These are facts. These are things that Harvard talks about, that Bill Gates talks about. And they've teamed up. So that's a fact. Now we have another fact. Scientists are telling you Betelgeuse, which is that orange light always next to Orion's belt over to the left over there, is getting dimmer since October and massively dimmer since the middle of December. What has changed? There's no way it's blowing up in 2 weeks. That's the science and the timing and the odds of that happening in your lifetime would have been impossible. And number two, the whole theory is impossible because they made it up. These stars are something else. Because some of them you see have little flashing pretty lights, and some of them you see have little bars on them like they look like jail cells. So, and you can see that with any camera. So, and then they'll go, it's out of focus. It's not out of focus. Take a look yourself. Okay? But if these are disappearing, and they are legitimately blocking the sun to protect you, that's how they say and why they say and how they justify it. They're protecting the earth and blah, blah, blah. So they can charge carbon tax and all those other reasons. There's reasons they're doing it to make money. But you're being told it's to save the world and all this stuff. So if you're blocking the sun, what makes you think the nighttime stars, which are a little dimmer than the sun, would not start disappearing? And I just did videos showing you in the daytime, on a bad, heavily sprayed day, the fog from the spray, the mist, the vapor is at the tree ground level at 100-yard distance. That's new, folks. I just started doing videos on this that you could see it with your own eyes. There's a bluish haze in the tree lines at 100 yards away from you. So if you're by a cornfield and you look across the cornfield, your average cornfield, probably a little more than 100 yards, maybe 200-300 yards, you will see a mist at ground level by those trees. Fact, I did a video. I've done other videos. You can see it. Now, they just tell you they can't see stars anymore that used to always be there. All right, think about that. I'm getting aggravated. Swag Chicago, chew on that. Little cud for the morning. I hate mornings. All right, have a great day. In spite of the morning. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't know my humor, then don't get mad or just don't listen if you don't like humor. All right, have a great day. Wag Chicago is out.